It's Wednesday, July 10. In the headlines, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announces REACH program for hurricane relief. In business news, Grace Kennedy's CEO says Hurricane Beryl destroyed 40% of the island's crops. Regionally, new air service launched between Barbados and Puerto Rico. And in sports, fans concerned as Jamaican sprint star Sharika Jackson pulls up during international track meet in Hungary. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a relief program to respond to the immediate needs of Jamaicans in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. Danita Rodney has the details.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Holness introduced the Relief Emergency Assistance and Community Help REACH program in the House of Representatives.
So as we move forward, our focus is on comprehensive relief efforts designed to provide immediate assistance and lay the groundwork for long-term recovery and resilience. Madam Speaker, today I am announcing the Relief Emergency Assistance and Community Help REACH program. Quite an apt acronym.
As part of the program, care packages have already been distributed, providing enough food for a family of 4 for 4 days through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. The Prime Minister says approximately 5,000 such packages have been distributed to the most heavily impacted areas.
The major element of the REACH program will include the distribution of food and essential supplies, utility, water, electricity, and telecommunications restoration, housing and reconstruction support, and economic recovery and restoration of livelihood. In terms of the distribution of food and essential supplies, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has been distributing care packages containing tin foods, flour, rice, cooking oil and other items through their network of social workers.
Mr. Holness also announced an additional $4 million to each constituency to assist with Beryl recovery.
Madam Speaker, we are therefore making an additional allocation given the demands and the needs. 2 constituencies. Again, the same modality. It will go through the CDF, and this is $4 million per constituency to assist in the recovery effort. There are some conditions, as with the first. You must complete the expenditure of the first allocation.
He told Parliament the most heavily impacted constituencies will also receive an additional $3 million. For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
$1 billion. That is the preliminary sum reported on the loss suffered by the agriculture and fisheries sector due to the passage of Category 4 Hurricane Beryl last week. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says the figure is expected to increase as assessment of the damage continues. Minister Green says almost all major crop lines were significantly affected by floodwaters and strong winds. There was also loss of livestock and damage to infrastructure. He says more information will be released in the coming days. The National Works Agency is working to clear blocked roads as Jamaicans try to get back to some normalcy following the damage left by Hurricane Beryl. NWA Communications and Customer Service Manager Stephen Shaw says 95% of roads have been cleared.
We have to date received some 476 reports of roads being impacted. Happily, we have been able to clear some 95% of those roads to either single lane or they have been fully reopened.
He says the NWA continues to work in St. Thomas, St. Catherine, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and St. James.
We have reopened the roads in the parishes of Portland, Westmoreland, Trelawney, St. Anne, Kingston, and St. Mary. These parishes, as of now, have no corridor that remains impassable.
Mr. Shaw informed that the agency will be conducting damage assessments of infrastructure island-wide that may have been impacted by the storm.
Once we are through with the cleaning and clearing, and in those parishes where there are no block roads to be cleared, the assessment of structures will begin. That means we'll be inspecting our bridges to ensure that there isn't anything that is not visible to persons just passing by. The abutments, we have to make sure that they are assured. The piers, we have to check on them as well to see whether or not there was any damage, and where we determine that something might have happened, we'll certainly treat with those situations.
He was speaking at a recent press brief held at the Energy Ministry. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says Jamaica's road network has been severely damaged by Hurricane Beryl and will cost the government billions of dollars to repair. He shared details about the situation while speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The Prime Minister says the country's road network has been significantly damaged due to the passage of Hurricane Beryl. He shared the preliminary cost for repairs.
The NWA's preliminary assessment to our main road network totals 10.25 billion Jamaican dollars. There are approximately 25,000 kilometers of roads that connect the country. 5,000 kilometers are main roads, while the remaining 20,000 kilometers are parochial roads.
He says assessment is still being conducted.
The preliminary assessment is that over 500 parochial roads have been affected in various degrees. So, Madam Speaker, in terms of the level of repair that will be needed and the cost, it is significant to our main roads.
According to Mr. Holness, the National Works Agency is still tallying the cost of the damage to parochial roads, noting that the figures will be published as soon as they are made available. Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. It is estimated that 40% of the island's food crops were destroyed as a result of the passage of Hurricane Beryl. CEO of Grace Kennedy Group, Don Webby, told our Today, early assessments of crop status of our own contract farms and the farms that supply our external suppliers indicate that the island has lost an average of 40% of crops under harvest. This ranges from 80% loss in the southwest, which is St. Elizabeth, to 20% loss in the east. Webby added, from a GK Foods standpoint, the biggest impact will be on Aki's, Callaloo, Scotch bonnet sauces, and the various produce that High-Low Food Stores purchases locally. Trinidad and Tobago-based A.S. Bryden's & Son Holdings Limited, a subsidiary of Jamaican-based Mussons Group, announced that it has acquired a 44.8% strategic stake in Caribbean Producers Jamaica, CPJ, Limited, for an undisclosed amount and without detailing the specific terms of the transaction. That said, in a press release dated July 9, 2024, Mayberry Jamaican Equities Limited, an investment holding company owned by Mayberry Investments, announced that it had sold 20% of the shares it owns in CPJ to a strategic partner. CPJ is a leading food and premium beverage distributor for major global brands with a focus on serving hotels and resorts. It operates in Jamaica and St. Lucia. During trading for the period July 9, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Regional hotel, food and beverage provider Caribbean Producers Jamaica Limited with 492,769,160 units amounted to 97.55% of the market volume in terms of sales of equities. Online educational platform Edufocal Limited with 5,212,219 units amounted to 1.03% of the market volume in terms of sales of equities. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 1,491,062 units amounted to 0.3% of the market volume in terms of sales of equities. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, trading on July 9, 2024, registered a volume of 67,639 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange valued at 583,509 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 23 cents. Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 21,829 shares, changing hands for a value of 85,228 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 20 cents, followed by National Enterprises Limited with a volume of 11,300 shares being traded for 36,725 Trinidad and Tobago dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on regional stock markets, we turn to the Forex market. On July 9, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $80.4 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $77.2 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.44 and bought the US dollar for $156.32. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.12, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $7.65 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $116.86 and bought for $109.21. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $3.74, selling it for $199.13 and buying it for $195.39. For our credit report tip of the day, we remind you that your credit score is more than just a number. It's a tool that opens doors to financial opportunities. And as you shop around for the best loan offers at various banks in your community, remember that your credit score can allow you to get flexible loan terms. With a solid credit score, you can negotiate for more favorable loan terms that suit your financial condition. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, Barbadians now have a new option for affordable flights within the region. It comes with the creation of a Frontier Airlines service between Barbados and Puerto Rico. CBC's Sharika Griffith has more.
Just in time for summer, low-cost carrier Frontier Airlines has launched a thrice-weekly non-stop service between Barbados and Puerto Rico. The inaugural flight touched down at the Grantley Adams International Airport on July 6 to much fanfare. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated, Andrea Franklin, has welcomed the development.
New service from Frontier Airlines not only opens up the Northern Caribbean to Barbados, but it also opens up gateways from the USA with connections through Puerto Rico, which we welcome as an additional market, an additional route into the island. Especially at this time as we go into summer with crop over, this is a welcome opportunity for persons to take advantage of the low-cost carrier with the connecting airfares via Puerto Rico to Barbados.
Senor Fernando Vasquez of Frontier Airlines hopes the new route will restore the frequency of travel between the two countries.
I remember the days that this used to be a very heavy traffic among the two countries, Puerto Rico and Barbados, and we're really looking forward to have that traffic again.
And he says there's a possibility even more flights could be added.
Come here every day. You know, that's something we should keep in our mind as we progress with the loads of the flights, which we are looking forward to be a very successful one, especially for women that want to go and buy things in San Juan. It's our, we're really looking forward to keep adding more flights.
Currently, flights are scheduled for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
In Belize, at the 12th Annual North American, Central American, and Caribbean Directors of Civil Aviation meeting, Prime Minister John Briceño stressed the significance of the aviation industry to the country, stating that 55% of the country's GDP comes from tourism, and over 50% of tourists travel by air. Considering this, Briceño further explained his goals to expand the industry, both domestically and internationally for Belize. Here's more on that report.
Aviation is of foremost importance to our tourism industry. For us in Belize, tourism accounts for 55% of GDP. More than 80% of our tourists who come to Belize will travel to one of our diverse destinations by air. Considering how important aviation is to GDP and how vital it is to Belize's economy, government has declared aviation a priority sector of our country. Our projections for growth in tourism aligns with ICAO's projections for growth in the air transport sector. Our overnight projections show a tripling of passengers who utilize the Philip Olson International Airport over the next 15 years. Triple, at 300%. At present, we are in the process of negotiating the development of an aviation master plan and expect that it will result in an all-around improvement of the aviation industry in Belize. The goal of our government, as stated in Plan Belize, our medium-term development plan, is to expand the PJA, or International Airport, with a US $125 million investment, a new airport in San Pedro, a national airport next to PJA to handle and to manage local air traffic, and a new airport in here down south in Placencia. All of them to be able to handle larger planes within Belize, and who knows, probably handle short regional flights.
In Antigua and Barbuda, Prime Minister Gaston Brown emphasizes the importance of the government's investment in the subsea fiber for the country's digital transformation. He also calls for more affordable broadband rates to help Caribbean countries adopt artificial intelligence early. He shared these points while welcoming attendees to the inaugural Artificial Intelligence Conference at the University of the West Indies Five Islands campus. Garfield Burford reports.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown welcomes the Artificial Intelligence Conference as an important element in the effort to digitally transform Antigua and Barbuda.
We expect to be a very early adopter of certainly the next generation AI AI platforms that will be established as we seek to use the technology to obtain competitive advantage and at the same time to ensure that we can improve the living standards of the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
To do this, though, the supporting infrastructure needs to ensure residents and businesses have access to broadband services at more affordable rates.
That if the Caribbean is going to be early adopters, Caribbean countries going to be early adopters of artificial intelligence and digitalization in general, that broadband services must become more affordable. I'm not sure that the current providers of broadband services, that they are fully aligned with government's policy. Obviously, they have their profit motives, but at the same time, we also have to see broadband services or the provision of broadband services as a public good, which means, therefore, it has to be affordable. And where we are unable to achieve affordable prices from the private sector, we believe that the government has an obligation to intervene.
Prime Minister Brown says his administration is making efforts to ensure this broadband backbone is in place. He says a subsea fiber is a necessary and strategic investment by the government.
Now, we have the view that the introduction, or let's say ownership of our own subsea cable is important from the standpoint of ensuring that broadband services remain affordable and affordable to all, to ensure that we close the digital divide. So, whereas it is extremely expensive, we see this as an investment that we can amortize probably over 15, 20 years. And at the same time, we believe that based on the current trajectory of Antigua and Barbuda, that we'll be utilizing an enormous amount of data.
He says another strategic step on the path of digitally transforming the society has been the establishment of the UAE Five Islands campus, which has a school of computing and artificial intelligence. Prime Minister Brown says AI and other technologies are crucial in helping countries such as Antigua and Barbuda to become globally competitive.
In sports, we're out the blocks with athletics as track and field fans were concerned about the extent of an apparent injury that Jamaican sprint star Sharika Jackson picked up in the women's 200 meters on Tuesday. The Jamaican star pulled up while competing at the Istvan Gulyai Memorial, a part of the Hungarian Athletics Grand Prix and World Athletics Continental Tour Gold event at the Bregio Athletics Center in Hungary. However, her physiotherapist, Troy Evans, says it was just a, quote, cramp in the hamstring she will be working on, end quote. He shared the update via social media. Mr. Evans did not say whether the video that was posted along with the update was taken before or after Jackson had pulled up near the finish of the women's 200 meters race. We turn our attention to cricket. West Indies lost 3 wickets in the first session of the opening test at Lord's on Wednesday. At lunch, they were 61 for 3, with Kevin Hodge unbeaten on 12 and Alec Athanase on 8. Debutant opener Michael Lewis top scored with 27 before dismissed just before the break. Another debutant, seamer Gus Atkinson, took key wickets, dismissing captain Craig Brathwaite 6 and rookie Kirk McKenzie 1, finishing the session with figures of 2 for 2 from 5 overs. Brathwaite, in his 90th test, played on to a wide delivery while McKenzie edged a drive to second slip. Lewis was caught low at third slip of captain Ben Stokes. And that's it for the news. On PBCJ, you can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.